Toyota is the world's largest motor manufacturer, and at some point last year, statistically speaking, one Toyota was sold every 3 seconds. Now, they didn't get to where they are by being outrageous or overly flamboyant. They got there by being safe, which means their cars aren't exactly the stuff of driving fantasies. They're inoffensive, with the kinds of qualities that keep the world population buying them every 3 seconds. But recently, there have been some changes. First, there was the 86, a rear-wheel drive sports coupe that promised a whole lot of driving fun. And now, there's this, the new Auris. Far from playing it safe and making slight tweaks to the ordinary styling of the old one, Toyota has completely reinvented it. It's like they're trying their best not only to keep up with the onslaught of good-looking Korean competition, but to tell their many millions of fans that it's okay to have a bit of style. Even though that style may not exactly be original, my initial thought when I saw the Auris from the front wasn't, oh look, there's a new Toyota. It was, oh look, there's an old Renault. And from the back, they've definitely borrowed a few ideas from Lexus. Or is it Hyundai? And now here's the part where I say styling is subjective and everyone will have their own thoughts. But what can't be denied is that the new Auris is light years ahead of the old one. It's an attractive car that gets a lot of attention because of its strong lines and character. 2 words that aren't often in the same sentence as Toyota. My own cynicisms aside, the Auris features the company's new family face, and that at the very least means this isn't just a once-off for the model that falls into a big selling category. So we can look forward to more interesting looking Toyotas, and given how many of the things they sell, that would make the motoring world a much prettier place. The interior is a less impressive advance than the rest of the package. It is decidedly dark and very vertical. It's also filled with some not so new and some new ideas, like the full-color touchscreen display and the digital clock from around 1981. On the practical side, it has got very comfortable seats and it's all very easy to use. Included in the sticker price for this XR model are cruise control, dual-zone climate control, the aforementioned touchscreen system with Bluetooth and iPod connections, leather, a reversing camera and keyless operation, which is always a great addition to any spec list. Interior space is good, and despite it being made mainly out of black stuff, there isn't a sense that you're being closed in upon by the cabin. The boot is surprisingly small, enough space for some weekend away type luggage, but if you're taking 2 or more people to the airport, chances are you'll have to remove the parcel shelf to make way for bigger bags. There's no diesel in the initial Auris lineup, so what we have here is a 4-cylinder 1600 with 97 kilowatts and 160 newton meters. Toyota's claimed fuel consumption figure is 6.1 litres per 100 kilometers, but if that's not good enough, you could spend about 60,000 rand more and opt for the hybrid Auris, and that'll give you 3.9 litres per 100. I didn't quite do the maths on how much driving you'd have to do to offset the massive price difference against the fuel savings, but it would have to be a lot of driving, even with the ulcer-inducing petrol price in South Africa. Covering distances isn't something the Auris minds though. I took a quick 400-kilometer round trip in this car and came away rather impressed. A lot of that is down to the toys in the cabin, but even with its rather modest motor, the Auris has got enough on the open road to keep things easy. It doesn't really struggle to overtake, it stays composed and comfortable on just about any road surface. That's not to say there are things of which you need to be aware. The brakes, for one, take some getting used to, with very little feel or bite for the first little bit of pedal travel. They work well enough, but a quicker response from the car would be better. The other thing? The gearbox. There are 2 choices in the Auris, one of which is a manual. The other is the one fitted to our test car, and that is a CVT. It does its job well enough, except under load when it does a very loud impersonation of a slipping clutch. There is a manual mode which makes things easier, but really, I know it's the more efficient and more modern solution, but if you're ever faced with the choice of a manual versus a CVT, go for the manual. In-town driving in the Auris tends to bring the best out of this gearbox, and it plays along nicely with the rest of the package. Time behind the wheel of this car is a fairly stress-free event, as long as you're not one of those people who demands instant responses and pure performance. At 266,000 Rand, the Toyota Auris XR isn't the cheapest option. You could spend less money on a similarly spec'd Hyundai i30 or a Ford Focus. And if you're prepared to live without a few creature comforts, you could even get a new Golf 7. Finances aside, it's good to see that Toyota have broken their styling molds in favor of something far more attractive, but are still building cars that are comfortable and easy to live with. The 1600 petrol motor is adequate rather than impressive, and the CVT gearbox is one of the better ones we've driven, although it doesn't like being put under heavy load. It's better looking than ever with decent spec and a comfortable drive, although its price tag will put it under pressure from some equally attractive and similarly spec'd competition.